What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of 30 Minutes of Hell. I am your host, Brandon Baker, joined today only by Joey Jackson. Hopefully, Matt can join us again soon, but we've got some Razorback hoops to talk about. Arkansas had a uninspired performance, to put it nicely, against Samford in their last time out. Still came out with a win, but in a game they were favored to win by 25 and a half points. Ended up only winning by four. Not ideal. Um, a lot of red flags that we've kind of already been talking about, primarily starting with the front court, right? Like we'll get into all of our thoughts on that, but really just I'm not concerned. I'm not freaking out over one game where it was poor like this, but stringing together two games in a row like this early in the season would concern me. So this at least raises, peaks my panic meter a little bit to where now I'm watching to see moving forward how we respond and what comes next. I don't anticipate the next game being that bad, that uninspired. It's also worth mentioning the Lenny Acuff, coach of Samford, was the coach of Lipscomb the last two seasons, both of which gave Arkansas trouble in those two seasons. So maybe it's just a Lenny Acuff thing, and maybe this game doesn't mean anything in the long term. But we're going to get into our thoughts on it right now. I'll talk a little bit about the upcoming game against Winthrop, and then look a little bit ahead at some of the schedule coming up. So, for starters, we're still just not getting what we want out of our front court. And I feel like that's the number one thing, the number one place to start. Sometimes it can be hard to take away big takeaways in games like this, but I think this is one that's an easy takeaway that we've continued to see, and a theme that we've talked about a lot. Um, we've talked about we're disappointed in what we're getting from Ewan overall, but in this game, Pringle was also a non-factor. We had to have Trevor Brazil, who looked exhausted through the last part of the game, who just came back from a back injury. He was having to play all the way down the stretch, played 23 minutes in this game because the other two were basically unplayable. It felt almost like Cal was sending a message to them by letting Brazil stay in the game, even when you could see that he was barely able to get up and down the court.
Which is crazy because looking at the stat sheet, he only played 23 minutes. He didn't play a crazy amount, so that conditioning needs to get up a little bit. But I mean, when you do look at the stat sheet, we our bigs combined for 8 rebounds, and Brazil had 7 of those, and that's just unacceptable. It's not going to get us anywhere. It's not going to get us where we need to be.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the Pringle and Ewan had like three total stats and four fouls, and
Yeah.
like it was terrible from the two of them. And one thing that I want to bring up early, we talk about it right now. After the game, Calipari, I mean, continues to say, I need more from my bigs. You got to be tougher. You got to play through things. But another thing that he has continued to say a couple of times and said it again after Samford is that he wants to see more of Isaiah Sealy on the court. Not necessarily that he wants more from him, but that he needs to get him on the court more so that we can see more of what he can do. And I think that like after this game, he came out and just blatantly said, I've played six guys before, and I'm not scared to do it again if I have to. Like I will cut the rotation to seven guys, to eight guys, to six guys if that's what if that's what the team dictates. Basically, that you got to earn your spots out there and do enough to stay on the court. And those comments combined, like he didn't explicitly say this, but those comments combined make me think that we could see an adjustment to the rotation coming as soon as this next game. I would not be surprised at all to see Isaiah Sealy eat a little bit into some minutes of some of these bigs. Namely Malik Ewan, right? Like he didn't even play a full 8 minutes in this last game. He's clearly been the backup to Nick Pringle. Not that we've loved everything we've seen from Nick Pringle either, but if you're going to start eating minutes from somebody, I think Ewan is probably the one where they come from first. Could definitely see,
100%.
Brazil is still on injury management. Maybe he loses a couple of minutes. Maybe Pringle loses some, and maybe Ewan's out entirely at this point, the way that Cal was talking. Like if you're going to cut the rotation to six or seven and add Sealy to the rotation, you got to take those minutes from someone. So right
And
off the bat, yeah.
something that I love about this team, I I feel like it's okay to do that with a team like this because of the amount of effort that so many of our other guys give. Not that I don't want our big men out there. I want to be a big team, especially with how big the SEC is and how much it's going to be needed come tournament time. But I mean, you look at Malik Thomas, who's what is he averaging 6 rebounds a game? Right now, he had 8 against Samford. You got Carter Knox, who's rebounding the ball very well the last couple games. Billy Richmond was rebounding like it was his part-time job against Samford. Like we've got we've got guys, and Sealy's one of those guys who's going to come out and he's going to give effort every night, and he's going to crash the boards. And if we're not getting it out of our bigs, at least it's coming from somewhere, is what I'm trying to say. You know?
And see, we talked a little bit about it. Like I mentioned on the last pod, he looks young and he's still got room to build some muscle mass, but he's a true 6'7". Like this
Hmm.
is not a small guard that we're just inserting to go incredibly small. This is a forward. Like it's a wing, right? Like he's more of a three than anything else. But if you put him out there with someone like Billy Richmond, who's rebounding the ball well, with Carter Knox, who has shown an improvement in his effort on the glass already this season, like Sealy is 100% on every loose ball, every rebound. He is crashing the glass. Sometimes I worry that he's going to draw like commit fouls doing it, but that's okay at this point. I would rather see the effort, and we can work out the other kinks let come with it later. But and then another thing that I feel like Sealy has done really well, which is a little surprising, not maybe not surprising, but more notable, I think, for a freshman is like when he pushes the ball in transition or whenever he dribbles the ball, like he rarely turns it over. He rarely makes bad passes and stuff like that. He doesn't try to do anything crazy or play out of his game. I think too that like for a freshman like that, right, of his size, that's not used to handling the ball that much as a guard, like that's a very good quality to combine with the high level of effort. If you can do both of those things and just provide quality minutes, you don't have to be a superstar. You just have to be better than what we're getting.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And I'm curious what your thought, like let's say that we take Ewan out of this rotation. And we have to play with just two bigs. We have to play with Brazil and Pringle. How do you see that rotation looking? Do you see like maybe one of them having to come off the bench, stagger minutes a little more? Because I mean, ideally, if you take Ewan out of the equation, you would start Brazil at center and bring Pringle off the bench, I would think, and you'd have to run Knox at the four. Or you could play the Pringle at five, Brazil at four, and then just bring or yeah, Pringle at five, Brazil at four. Sorry, and just stagger the minutes. Probably bring Pringle out the game a little earlier. It's if you take Ewan out of it, it just makes it a lot more difficult size wise for us. And we don't. I mean, our next biggest guy is going to be Knox outside of Pringle and Brazil. So
Yeah, I think I see a few different scenarios where that happens, right? Like the last game, Brazil's coming back from injury, so he comes off the bench, and if Knox comes off the bench, or if any situation where one of those guys is injury management, however we're playing that, right? But if everyone's healthy, I could definitely see going with Brazil just starting at center and starting with Malik Thomas in the game and Knox at the four, and going with your three guards, Knox and Brazil. I definitely see that. I see that as probably the closing lineup most of the time already,
I
regardless of
agree.
what happens with the bigs. But if we don't start that way, my thought would be to start with Pringle, Brazil, and Knox all in the front court, and then bring in Thomas early or Wagner. I assume Wagner is starting in this scenario, but
Hmm.
whichever of the three guards is not on the court, you bring them in early and you bring Pringle out early. When I say early, like I don't know, 8 minutes in, less than that maybe. And from there, as soon as the first big comes out, it basically becomes a two-man rotation at center, and you don't really get to see much more of Brazil at the four after that first substitution.
Yeah,
Right, like
which
at that point, you've got Knox that can play most of the 4 minutes, and then Sealy and Richmond basically split the rest of it as best they can.
which sucks for Brazil because he's finally comfortable being in that stretch four position. I mean, I feel like he typically doesn't like playing center, but it's going to be what we need out of him this year. I fear.
Right, and that'll work against Winthrop and
Hmm.
Jackson State. Like we'll be fine doing it against them, but you said it earlier, we may need more than that come SEC play. When we play Duke, when we play Louisville, when we play some of these teams that have like legit all-star big men, we're gonna need bodies to throw at them. So I'm hopeful that this is still a statement and a challenge that Ewan can respond to, and Pringle for that matter. Like we pick on Ewan a little bit, but Pringle gave us nothing in this last game either,
Right.
nothing of substance. But they have to respond if we're going to be as good as we hope to be. We'll be
And
a fine team and a tournament team if they're not great, but we're not going to be a great team.
Pringle doesn't have to be a stat guy. He can just be all out effort, controlled chaos. We don't want him fouling out every game. But
Right.
he wasn't even giving us the effort in the game against Samford. So what's the point of him being in the game if he's not giving us, the bare minimum? Like we don't expect him to be a 10 and 10 guy. We don't expect him to be a 10 and 7 guy. We expect, 5, 6, 7 rebounds a game, a dunk or two, but we don't. I mean, he's really there to be a defensive anchor and a guy to cause problems. So he's
Yeah,
the front court is so volatile this year, and I hate how inconsistent it's been. I want us to start getting in a rhythm, and hopefully, after we play a few games and get into SEC play, we're still learning each other, so hopefully it'll pick back up.
for sure. Um, yeah, we spent a lot of time on the front court already too, and like that's obviously where the issues are. So that's what I feel like warrants the most discussion around all of this. Um, but I do want to call out two great game, not great game, good performances from Acuff and Malik Thomas again. Still look like great freshmen. Malik with another 8 rebound, 4 assist game. You love to see that kind of stuff. Acuff scored 20 points on over 50% from the field. Uh, Looked really good doing it. One thing though that it's not. We talked about it on the last spot. It's still not been a detriment, but Malik Thomas again went 5 of 13 from the field, and just is not still not afraid to put up shots. It didn't really cost us at all in this game. Like I don't think that he took too many shots whatsoever. But that field goal percentage is going to be an ongoing topic of discussion. As the defense gets tougher, as we need him to step up and score more. Was not bad in this game by any means, but still not at the high level of efficiency that maybe he could be.
One of my favorite things about the duo of Acuff and Thomas is Acuff is a quiet performer. He put up 20 points in this game, and it didn't, I mean, he did it pretty quietly, and I feel like he's done that in most of the games that we've seen him play. I feel like the defense is going to focus in on Thomas because he's kind of that more flashy, that loud scorer, So Acuff can quietly, put up 7 for 13, give us 20 points, have some great plays, and I and maybe this is just me doing an eye test. Maybe it's not completely factual, but I feel like the defense is focusing more on Thomas because he is viewed in scouting reports as a three-level scorer, whereas that's not really the same level of game that Acuff is. But he's going to go and get you 15 to 20 a game, regardless if he's doing it in a flashy manner or not. I just think that's going to really bode well for us in SEC play, especially once Knox gets in his rhythm, and if Brazil keeps playing like he's playing. Like we've said it before, the sky is the limit for this team. Like we have all the potential in the world. It's just bringing it all together cohesively.
And
But
I think right now one thing too that they're missing a little bit and I think one, we've talked highly of Acuff a lot, and I've been a little hard on Thomas at times. One thing that I think Acuff still has room to grow into is consistently running sets and running offense and doing like not stopping the ball. Right, he's an incredible talent. He's really good with the ball in his hands, and he still makes good plays. But still being a connector piece. Like there are times I think when he's off the court that maybe the ball moves a little quicker, moves to back and forth a little bit better. Not that he's being a ball hog. I mean, he leads the team in assists. He had 5 again
right.
in this game, but at times it's kind of like, oh, just give me the ball. Like I don't know what's called, but let's just do this.
Yep.
And I think them learning and settling into that offense and it becoming second nature is still something that everyone needs to work on. But with Acuff having the ball in his hands a lot, I think maybe you see it more with him.
Yeah, that's a good point, Brandon. Definitely don't want it to be sticky in Thomas's hands. You want to move it effortlessly and have a flow to the offense.
Yeah, and then the last guy too that we wanted to mention a little bit, at least in this recap, Billy Richmond. Cal called him out by name, basically said that he's the reason that we won this game. Obviously, the discrepancy in talent level was a lot larger than the discrepancy in the point total. Arkansas did not put their best foot forward in this game, but Billy Richmond's effort, his 5 rebounds, efficient. Shooting hit another three in this game. He was a major reason why every time that Samford started to make a run, that Arkansas never let go of the reins entirely. And I think that that's like really important to see too, because I mean, we talked about before the season that he was a guy that had so much to prove and so many steps forward that he could take, but we needed to see him take those steps. That we were nervous, like we talked about at one point, whether or not Sealy would take his minutes because if everything went wrong for Billy, like if he was the exact same player he was last year, it could have been feasible that Sealy comes in and take these minutes. I don't think that's really in question right now. Billy has given us the effort that we need, the defense that we kind of knew was there already, but he's being more consistent as a scorer. In his last three games, he's shooting almost 38% from three on relatively low volume, but that is the step forward we needed to see, right? Like he's not being a detriment. Like he still has some plays where it's like, what is happening, Billy? Like what are you even doing? But just over one turnover a game, 37% from long range. Those are the steps forward that we needed to see for him to be a quality, high level role player in the SEC and be the connecting piece on this team. So I'm not worried about his minutes going anywhere. I think if Sealy does step into the rotation, it'll be someone like UN or someone else that we see maybe take a step back. But big ups to Billy in this game and what we've seen all season really so far.
And I mean, talk about an effort guy. You never have to question if he wants to be on the court. He is going to play all out every second he is on the hardwood. And we mentioned the five rebounds, four of those were offensive rebounds. Like that
Exactly.
man
That
was
was huge.
playing, yeah, huge, playing his, and a lot of those, I want to say he had three in the second half where they were like under 10 minutes in the second half where like we needed them, we needed to score, we needed to get something going. He was working his butt off, and I feel like I'm one of the harder people on Billy, especially out of us three, because we saw so much out of him last year, and we all really want to see him take that step forward because you can just see how much love he has for the game. He genuinely wants to be out there. I want him to be successful, and I think his hard work and his effort is going to make him a pretty special player this year.
And even, I mean, the effort shows that you're 100% right. You see it all the time that he wants to be there, but you can see the work that was done before this season started, from the end of
Yep,
last year to this year, those little things that he's taken little steps forward in doing, the shooting better, the taking care of the ball better, like those kind of things. That's the kind of stuff that he was putting in work when nobody was watching, right?
yep.
Like, and it's paying off now, and we see the confidence in his shot, all these things. So, yeah,
He's
definitely happy with
actually
what we've seen.
slowing down. Like we
Yeah.
he was just always full head of steam last year, and now he's taking time to consider. Like he may start off a game a little faster than normal, but he'll settle into the offense quicker than what he did last year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Really good stuff to see. It'll be interesting to see how this rotation shakes out in the next game and then the next couple as we get into this brutal schedule. But first, let's do a quick preview on the next game coming up Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, Bud Walton Arena.
As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same game parlays, best in class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, you sign up using bonus code FIELD, you deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today.
Arkansas gets to face Winthrop, a team that is 2-2 on the season. Doesn't really have like a lot of like quality wins or big moments yet, but they can score the heck out of the ball. Scored over 100 points in their last game against Mercer. This team is one of those, like, this is the definition of those pesky mid majors that you can't overlook because they are incredibly experienced. Their top six players, just in terms of minutes played per game, are all seniors. They do not have a single freshman listed on their roster. They score, can shoot the leather off the ball. They've got little guards that control the game and can play it well. And as a team, they are among the nation's leader in turnovers forced per game with over 16 and a half turnovers forced per game. Arkansas has yet to commit more than 14 in a game this season. So that alone is like we have elite guards. Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas are elite guards, but they are freshman guards. And if someone like Isaiah Sealy gets in the game more in this game, right, like he is also a freshman. If his minutes bump up to 8, 9, 10 minutes in this game, he's going to have the ball in his hands more often against a team that forces a lot of turnovers, a lot of steals. I think he will be okay. We were just praising how good he's been at not turning the ball over, but just this team specifically is really good at doing that. So that's definitely something to watch. Kareem Rozier, specifically a 5'9" guard, averaging currently 13 points and almost 3 steals per game. I expect a lot of that matchup between him and Darius Acuff all night long. And again, I'm not generally worried. Like Acuff has seen his fair share of pressure already this year, all through high school. Like he's seen a lot of good players, but just a very experienced senior guard that's averaging almost 3 steals per game is going to be a good test for Acuff. Like it's not going to
100%.
be a nobody.
Yeah.
Um, and it's worth noting too that I mentioned a second ago, Arkansas in their 3 wins has had single digit turnovers. The only time they've hit double digit turnovers was their loss to Michigan State. I'm not saying Winthrop is Michigan State. It is not the same. But if they force the Hogs to turn the ball over a lot, we could be in for another night like we saw against Samford, where Arkansas is struggling to keep a double digit lead throughout the second half. So yeah, just a pesky team that I don't think there's any concern of actually losing on the final scoreboard, but definitely a team that you can't overlook and come in sleepwalking. They've got 2 other guys scoring 18 points per game and 12 points per game, respectively. Good shooters. But they actually really only have like one big man that's playing significant minutes, Logan Duncombe. He's averaging 12 and 6, and he's only 6'9". So everything we talked about before with maybe Cal going smaller to down to a 7-man rotation to where we see more of Sealy, I think this would be the game where you would kind of see it come to fruition more. A game where you don't need the presence of your bigs. It would be really cool if we could just put our 6'10" guys out there the whole game and dominate them from a size and physicality perspective. But I don't trust us to do that right now. And I
Exactly.
don't think Cal does either.
Yeah.
So I think that this could be a game where you see a lot more small ball and see if we can start figuring out that lineup a little bit more.
And another thing that Winthrop's really good at is their guards are solid rebounders.
You rebound as a team well. Yeah.
Yeah, Dalen Berry, 6'4", he was the guy you said averaged 17 or 18 points a game. He's averaging 6 rebounds on the season. He's 6'4", but that 6 rebounds isn't just, that's not a fluke. It's early in the season. Like he was doing that last year for Charleston Southern. I think he averaged a little over 5 rebounds a game there, or maybe a little under 5 rebounds. But I mean, he's a small guard that's consistently getting rebounds. And you mentioned the experience already. Team full of seniors, really. They're gonna play their brand of basketball. It's not gonna the bright lights aren't gonna slow them down. Um, we just we just really have to we've got to come play a full 40 minutes of basketball, and we really haven't seen that so far. We played a half against UCA. We didn't play much against Samford, if we're being honest. Like, we just need to really lock into this game and do the little things right. I'm like you, I'm interested to see kind of what the lineups look like for this, because I do think that we'll see a little more small ball.
Yeah, and one last thing with Winthrop here, their top 3 shooters combined to shoot the 3 ball almost 19 times per game, and all 3 of them are hitting at 35% or better. So, I mean, we talk about the turnovers on the offensive side of the ball, but if you come out sleepwalking on defense too, this team is going to throw up shots, and they've been hitting them this year. Again, not just like an overly talented team, but easily one of those pesky little experienced teams that does small things well, does things the right way, can score in a hurry. Like those are all elements of being in trouble quickly against a mid-major. So you have to be on your A game.
And that shooting is definitely something to look out for, because we gave up a lot of looks to Samford from deep. I
Yeah.
mean, they shot the ball 29 times, given they were playing they were trying to win the game there at the end. They were throwing up a few extras, but I mean, there were just some times where we weren't closing out very well. We weren't, fighting through screens very well. So that's definitely something to look out for, not to get surprised by.
Yeah, and speaking to of Samford, they had Jaden Booth in that game was the top scorer in the country coming into that game, and Arkansas actually did a really good job of neutralizing him. Only shot 3 of 15 from the floor, 2 of 10 from long range. But in doing that, I feel like they kind of let their foot off the gas against almost everyone else. Like they did a really good job of knowing where he was. But I mean, you had random players that were averaging less than a point a game going off for 15 points on 3 or 4. And like that happens sometimes, right? Like sometimes a guy gets hot. But they had like 5 players in double digits when all season they had been leaning into one guy scoring. So I bring that up to say that like Winthrop has some of these guys that are shooting very, very well. They've got one guy averaging 18 points a game. That can't be the only thing that you stop. You need to focus on that, but as a team, still guarding and taking away as much as you can from a team like this, that you should be able to out talent, be more athletic, have more length. Like you should be able to take these things away in this type of game.
And I'm gonna play Matt for a second. Wagner played incredibly well against Jaden Booth. He's been our most consistent player. He's been our most consistent defender. He's been our best defender by a mile. I'm really excited to see how he keeps growing this season.
Yeah, for sure. All right. That is all we have for you guys today. Appreciate you tuning in as always. Quick reminder, we are brought to you by the Field of 68 Podcast Network. You can find us on YouTube, on Twitter, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your stuff. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, share, leave a review. It really helps us out. We really appreciate it, especially if you enjoy our content and everything that we're bringing. Excited for the Hogs to get back on the right page. I'm hoping for like a 25-point win or better in this game. It's time to start seeing a little bit of improvement, a little bit of urgency already because it's about to get brutal fast.
Yep.
But until next time, again, appreciate you guys. I've been your host, Brandon Baker, joined by Joey Jackson. And as always, go Hogs.
Woo pig.